Hey y'all, it's Diddy. Hey, if y'all were paying attention to music in 2002, y'all know Dipset was running everything. This is part of a 3-part series. I'm gonna be fixing all 3 albums, the 3 mainline albums from the Dipset era. That being Diplomatic Immunity, Juelz Santana from Me to You, and Cam'ron's Purple Haze. Starting out with Diplomatic Immunity, I will be pulling new songs from any of the Dipset mixtapes that I feel necessary and removing songs and putting them on the Juelz Santana and Cam'ron album. Let's get into Diplomatic Immunity. March 2003, when the Diplomatic Immunity dropped, it was the time. If you've been following the mixtape scene, you heard every song off of this joint right off the bat. Let's start out with the original track list. I absolutely love this album. I had this joint in my book bag with my book bag of albums that I carried around, and I listened to it damn near every day on my ride from New Jersey to New York to go to school. Needless to say, I know this album inside and out. We got a bunch of great records from a bunch of great artists, but there's a couple problems that I see with this album right off the bat. It's a Dipset album, yet it also comes off as a Juelz Santana and Cam'ron album at times. So this is one of the things we're aiming to fix with that. Another thing we're gonna do, we're gonna cut it down to one singular album. That's right, y'all. We're cutting so many records, it's not even gonna make any sense. But I think y'all gonna be happy with the final product when we finish with it. I don't feel like the album really had any cohesion when it came together to sequencing. It just feels like they just threw tracks wherever they wanted to and just let them land wherever they may. But we gonna fix that as well and make it flow a little bit smoother. One of the things I decided to do is make it so that there's one song from each Diplomat on this album. And when I say each Diplomat, I'm only talking the 3 mainline ones: Jimmy, Cam, Juelz. Anything else will be cut and placed elsewhere. Now, I think it's time to show y'all the songs I'm removing from this joint. Take a look. Right off the bat, you'll see the first thing I remove is the interludes, but let's just be clear. I feel like interludes on all albums should be put with records. There's a couple situations where that's not the case, but for the most part, all interludes should be part of the end of a record before the song that is supposed to come on. Since Santana had a couple solo songs, as you see, I pulled a couple of his songs off here, a couple Cam'ron records, pulled the Uncasa record, which I absolutely love. That was a hard decision to make. R.O.S.E records left as well. And there's a couple other stragglers up here that I love as well that I felt like needed to come off. As y'all see, that's 16 records going out of 27. There's a lot of songs missing, but what do y'all think about what came off? What would you remove from this joint? A couple of the decisions were easy. My Love remix, I didn't feel like that deserved to be on this album. Purple Haze, for obvious reasons, that shouldn't be up here. Let's Go is more like a skit interlude. We didn't really need that. And in hindsight, most of the other Diplomat members really didn't matter much in a grand scheme of the whole group. Now, let's look over what's left over and a couple songs that I'm adding. So, as y'all can see, we're left with these records, and I only added 2 new songs. I added Jim Jones Get Away from Diplomatic Volume 3, and I added Dead, which can be found on Diplomatic Immunity 2, or it can also be found on one of the Diplomat mixtapes as well. And for Juelz Santana, Who Am I is his solo record, so that's each one's record right there. As y'all see from the songs that's remaining, this is basically all the hits. These are all the records that you heard playing all the time, everywhere you were. And I was actually in New York City around the time that this album was out, so it was definitely a movement. And when I would go back home to Jersey, there would be all of these weird arguments with people saying Juelz was actually better than Cam'ron. Can y'all believe that? But this is what we got left right here. What do you guys think? The tricky part for this though is going to be reconfiguring this and organizing this in a way that flows together, but I think I got the remedy. Let's take a look at my final track list. Y'all like that, right? That's a thing of beauty right there. Yo, this is now a 14-song album of cohesiveness. I started the album off with I Really Mean It. It starts off the second disc. Just feels like it's the proper way to set off an album, especially with the vibe and the sound that Dipset and the Heatmakers was running at the time. Everybody wanted to do what they was doing. That's the perfect way to start off the album. I wanted to keep the vibe going with the first and Ground Zero. Great energy. Great songs. The first is kind of like a flip on Bone Thugs and Harmony's flow. This is one of Juelz's best songs that he shines on this whole project, so it felt fitting for it to go right here. And with Ground Zero, it's just one of them joints that just is inspiring, especially when you was in the city at the time. It just had this amazing instrumental, dope record. We're gonna follow that up with the first solo record, and that's Jim Jones' Getaway, one of the new tracks. And I spaced the songs out a little bit. They're about 5 songs apart as far as the solo records, to kind of give you a break from all of the Dipset confusion, as they like to call it at the time. Number 5, I Love You, is an amazing record, man. I kind of like a blend between the version that ended up on the mixtape and the version that ended up on the Diplomatic Community version. The beat on the original is just really dope. At the same time, I love the horns they added in the album version. Same thing can be said for What's Really Good. I like the new instrumental, but the original instrumental actually had the real sample from Coming to America. I guess the sample clearance issue came about and it kind of flipped the instrumental. It came out sounding alright, but it's not as good as the original. Then Beautiful Noise followed that, which is another dope record, and we got all 3 of the homies on this one. Full Mind from Joel Santana. Dope record, man. This is one of my favorite Joel records. This is a strong outing for him. It could have been pulled to be put on his album and make his album much stronger, but it just fits right here. I mean, it's on the Real Dipset album. It's the first song that you hear. Amazing record for this one. Number 9, we got the Dipset anthem, Enough Said. The album, that song is the joint. It can go anywhere on the album, honestly, and it's gonna sound great. And then we got I'm Ready to follow that, which was another staple at the time. You just had to be there to understand it, y'all. After Dipset anthem and I'm Ready, we want to slow it down a little bit, not too much, but we got Real Niggas following that. It's got a real nice, chill instrumental, nice sample on this one. Love the way everybody raps on this one as well. And then we're gonna follow that up with Dead by Cameron. This, man, I love this record. I used to run this back on that Diplomatic Community 5 so much. This joint is so crazy. And the last 2 songs we got the DJ Effin' Birthday joint. The instrumental was crazy. They should actually just gave the song a real name, but this is just the way they was moving at the time, man. They just did whatever they wanted to, and then Built This City is the final song on the album, man. It was a Dipset thing to kind of take samples, like crazy samples from the 70s. They were taking TV show theme songs, anything they wanted to, man, and they rock over and make it sound dope. So We Built This City is the joint that's gonna end the album, and we're gonna leave the Hell Rail verse up there, even though we removed pretty much all the other Diplomat members from every other song. I love Hell Rail's verse on this one, and not only that, it's a great entry point for Cam's verse at the end of the record. So, how did you guys like how I flipped Diplomatic Community, man? 14 songs of greatness. How would you guys do it? Would you take it down to 1 album? Would you freak it at 2 albums? Would you cut anything at all? I mean, it's a tough call, right? I mean, I love this album. I listen to it all the time, but I felt like it felt more cohesive and better with 1 album, 14 songs. Let me know in the comments down below how you guys would flip this, what you guys would do to it. Make sure y'all check it next week so you can see how we're going to attempt to fix Joel Santana from Me to You and Cameron Purple Haze. And let me know which albums you guys believe should be fixed. Leave a comment down below. Hit that subscribe button, man. Thank you guys for watching, man. Love you guys. Peace.